Hey y'all, it is my first time going live, and I figure let's talk about friendships. As I eat cheese, drink soda, cheese I shouldn't be eating. Anyways, all right. So, like I said, let's talk friendships and what that journey looks like, and the fact that nobody really. I'm not gonna say nobody, but in my experience, maybe others can relate that we weren't taught how to friendship, be good friends, or how to maintain a friendship. As being of Caribbean descent, it's always like blood thicker than water. And I find that people have been using that phrase so inaccurately. Um, now, the pauses. Hey, give me a second.
Oh, yeah, you gotta call me back, man.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I guess that worked. But yeah. So, as coming up of Caribbean descent, the blood thicker than water. However, what you come to realize as you get older is sometimes your friends turn into your family. Um, and I think especially for females, sorry guys, I'm really munching on the cheese, is that if you don't have like a solid relationship or some form of a relationship with your mom, it can make bonding with other females a little difficult, right? Not only that, depending on just like your personality, whether you're introvert, whether you're extrovert, then you know how that looks. Now, let's go down my friendship journey. Um, I have what I consider a small circle of dope, dope, dope women that are like sisters to me. And let's kind of get into it. Right? I feel like my first set of friendships, true friendships, I feel like kind of started in like elementary school. Um, and but what do we truly know about friendships in elementary school, right? We're just looking to fit in and create that. So even as I'm thinking back, um, I can't really think of too many significant moments where I'm just like, uh, my friends, right? And also being Caribbean, you go to school and come home. The hanging out outside business is not a thing. So I only see them at school and then I go home, right? There was no hanging out on the street. They didn't live around where I lived. And so there was that. So I don't remember too much about my friendships. But on a side note, there are two that I actually still talk to from elementary school, and I'll get how we got reintroduced again. Um, Life's so funny, the world is so small. Anyways, let's fast forward. So let's go to middle school where I feel like that is really where you start trying to figure out yourself, where you fit in the social skew of things within school, within your family. just kind of who you are as your body is going through changes. And this is where you really start life. For me, I really started bonding on a deeper level with like friends. So I think by middle school, I had two best friends and complete opposites. So like one was an extrovert and one was an introvert like me. So yes, for reference, your girl's introvert. And ooh, nope, that's one side. Let's start over. Yeah. So we are here introverts. So two introverts and an extrovert. Um, is there's something about as an introvert being a friend with an extrovert. It's like they bring out the side of you that is almost like been laid under the mat somewhere, and they kind of like tugging it, pulling it out, and it's just like, oh, look at me, right? So, but it's only with the person. So I was like that, and right, I mean, like, so we would try to be around each other like all the time, hang out after school, just be around each other, do everything together. Um, I was so closely connected to her that um, to the extrovert that I remember we used to meet up before school, take the train to school, and when I tell you one day she didn't show up, and I knew something must something was wrong, and I knew she got injured. So she ended up getting hit by people, and um, yeah, I knew something happened. That's like how in tune I felt like with her. She was a sister to me, right? And let's give a little background context into me where I have a lot of siblings. However, there is also a large age gap. And because of that age gap, we're not like close, right? Because the closest age gap is like 7 years, but everybody else is closer in age. So they all kind of grew up together, created a bond. And I kind of don't all the way fit in, right? Because I came so much later. I have siblings old enough to be my parents, right? So for those contexts. So it was really great when I found someone that I can connect with and then like, oh, like their minds, like, oh, like this is my bestie, that I can share things with because I didn't have that even though I have a big family or I have a lot of siblings. The age gap was age gapping, okay? Anyways, race. Now, fast forward, um, we did like we felt like everything together, right? Um, and to go from that in middle school and go into different high schools was as the introvert. I'm like, I don't remember how me and the extrovert became friends. So how am I gonna go really make new friends? And this extrovert friend of mine is like my sister, and now we're not together anymore. And then I soon realized through my journey with my extrovert friend was that I was no longer still the best friend, but not prominent. So because extrovert, they make friends and new associates very quickly and they bond with people and all that jazz, right? As an introvert, that takes me so long to do, even if it gets done. Um, so that was very difficult for me, that transition, because I felt like my sister was no longer my sister, my best friend was no longer my best friend. Like she found new friends, she has new people, I'm no longer relevant, and I'm not gonna be able to have like another friend like that. And mind you, like I told you, there was two, the other introvert, and again, we're both introverted. So, and I love her down. I love her down. I'm still friends with these two fabulous, fabulous women. Um, but yeah, That's what I'm saying. So we're two introverted people that stay in the house, or we don't we be in our own bubbles, not feeling like we want to bother anybody or da 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 da. Very similar thought process to showing up for like each other. And she also, we're all Caribbean of descent, and her family was very much so like your focus is the family, right? It's like education, work, family, and friends are like below that, right? And so I definitely understood her dynamic. That's why I'm an extrovert. At the time, I feel like we're a lot closer because we didn't have any like siblings home, and so it was just us with each other. Now, like I said, high school, I did make a close friend, and again, I guess I feel like I'm socially awkward. I don't know how other people perceive it, but like I hate small talk, things of that nature. Like, give me deep conversations, all of that good stuff. Right? Cool. Now, fast forward to the new friend that I made. Cool, we hanging out. She was my first Dominican boo, um, and loved her down. Such a sweetheart, but I made some mistakes on my end, and if she ever comes across this, I apologize, girl. Because I started dating my high school sweetheart, and I feel like he gave me the attention that I was craving, that real individual one-on-one attention, just being there all the time to my needs. So I think I know that I definitely started swaying towards him more, hanging out with him more. My world, I guess, became more of him, and I didn't know how to balance relationship, friendship, and a friendship, right? So she ended up becoming close to other people in the time, and no love lost on my end, nor did I think hers, but we ended up kind of virgin. I mean, like splitting. But like I said, I don't. For me, it wasn't in a negative way, and man, I regret that. I wish I had more guidance of how to have like maintain my friendship and a relationship and finding that balance. But I think I was just because I'm an introvert and I can be a like emotional, sensitive person, and he was fulfilling that for me. I just dove all into him. Um, so fast forward because now pretty much I realized that in the high school I don't have like a super close friend in high school because I've spent most of my time with my high school sweetheart. So yeah, that was you live and you learn, and that was definitely learning for me because now when I stepped into college, I ended up going to college with my high school sweetheart, and um, we didn't end up. He wanted a break. He wanted to whatever. That's a whole different story. And I realized I was all alone. And I'm like, we collectively kind of made this decision to come here together and do it together. And now he's left me, right? And so I'm starting uh, college with no one, which had it happened before, I would have, I could have been proud of myself, like, oh, I can make friends, da, da, da. But when you're like, oh, I'm going in with like the love of my life, my future husband, it is, it's us. We up and up and stuck together, like Savannah, that's a good man, that's my man, my man. And that's how I was. But like I said, once that switch happened, once we got there, I became very sad, very depressed because my life at the time just revolved around him. being with him and me wanting to be with him, that I laid my friendships off to the side. And but let's not. So let me clarify, because I also wanted to really have that friendship back with my extroverted friend, right? I wanted us to get back to the space that we were once in, and then it was just like as time goes on, like though I'm there, or she'll invite me to stuff, it never felt the same. It always felt like I was, I won't say afterthought, right? I'll say that like I've dropped rankings and hit like associate versus like all the new people that come in and they became like top tier, and it's like I kind of got pushed to the wayside. I'm further down, um, and so I definitely was dealing with that heavy more than I probably thought I was. Because I feel like it probably broke something in me a little bit, or I was so disappointed or hurt, or whatever that was. Um, and so when college came, I'm like, dang, I don't have anyone, and that was rough, right? Luckily for me, God and the ancestors blessed me with a group of like beautiful, intelligent, compassionate, divine women, and we all kind of found our ways to each other over time. And I'm so thankful for them because they are literally the reason I made it through college and graduated. Because the amount of times I wanted to quit, especially my senior year, where I was right at the damn finish line and I was about to be like done. And it was them in my ear just like pushing me along. So they're the reason I got my damn degree, because if they were not around, having my back, being by my side, and in my ear, not letting me quit, yeah, your girl would have been college dropout. Uh, but fast forward, those relationships that I developed were so lovely. And again, I went away to school. We all went away. We all were from like New York, Brooklyn, Bronx, whatever area. Yes, I am Brooklyn, Carolina. So it was beautiful. We were able to bond, really create connections, and it's lovely. Again, as we get older, as we move on to different stages, no one discusses what that looks like for friendship. What is our responsibilities? Like, because we don't know. As the ones going through it, we're traversing it as we go. We've had no guidance on what that looks like, right? So beautiful 4 years, all of that, and now it's time to get back to the real world. Right now, we're gonna get into the work world, and pretty much just trying to get into our careers, what that looks like, yada yada yada. And I will say, for a while, for a good while, me and those wonderful queens managed to still come together often and do things often, and it was beautiful. It was lovely. I loved it. Now, remember the two friends I said that from like elementary school? Well, this is how they come back into play. So, two of my college beauties um, were actually like best friends, and one was best friends with one, and one was like cousin with the other. So it'd be like, oh, we're going out, and then I'm like, wait, wait, we know each other, and that is how those two ladies came back into my life from elementary school, and I let them down. They're amazing. So at this point, I got a I got a good close to two handfuls of divine, lovely women that surround me in a sisterhood that are supportive, that are just amazing beings, right? So lucky for that. Now, again, after college, college is done. We're getting into our careers of what are we doing and starting to work more, or what that looks like. Trying to become financially responsible, all of that stuff. And when real life started happening, life started lifing, things shifted, right? We started seeing each other less as we got further into our 20s, even in close to 30s, getting married, having kids, the whole shebang, relationships, yada, yada, yada. So as we know, when those big things start happening, you drop in a totem pole, right? Because that becomes their priority. And that's what happened. So career, probably starting a family, marriage, all of those things start kicking into play, and we just get further apart. Like trying to schedule things. Oh, who's free this? Because this is the stage we at in our life now. Trying to schedule what works for who. This is now, as this is going on, and I'm now I felt again that another rift, that another tear where I feel like I'm losing more of myself. I'm losing my friend because these women became like, my sisters. So it's like, wow, now we're not making the time for each other, right? And to some degree, I fall, we all played a part. Um, However, I probably wasn't as vocal, my introverted self, as speaking up of like, hey, I really want us to be together, do. Maybe I didn't want to feel needy or the whatever I was thinking. Now, great. I love to see everybody doing what they're doing, but then I greatly started becoming so depressed and sad that I'm like, I have these wonderful women in my life, but they don't feel like they're in my life. I love the fact that they're living their lives and doing awesome and amazing things, but I also don't feel included. Um, you know, they're probably creating because they're creating new relationships, friendships, things like that, in new work environments. So they, again, feeling like I'm sliding to the bottom of the totem pole. But it's no animosity, no nothing there, because I know this is life happens and change. But I was like, man, I wish we as women would prioritize our sisterhoods, right? Like our friendships, the way a lot of men do. Like you see men get into relationships, marriages, they don't get rid of their friends. A lot of times they have their little weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it is. Oh, my fellas gonna hang out with the fellas, they chill. Like they do all of that. And I feel like a lot of women get caught up into a role of the girlfriend, fiance, wife, the mother, and forget that they're a person. They just take on the role and just lay waste to everything else, and not intentionally. Is that that's how I feel like we've been conditioned, right? And if we're conditioned to focus on everybody but ourselves, then we're not going to prioritize our friendships and sisterhoods and brotherhoods that pour into us, um, and that help our cup overflow with greatness. So there's that. I became very receptive or vigilant of that, seeing it, and then it just started making me sad. Not even for just myself. Sorry. So not even just for myself, but of the women, these wonderful women that I knew that I'm also watching lose themselves. Right, they're in these great positions and things like that, but I'm also looking at the fact that some of them are shells of themselves or just lost themselves in the role completely. They no longer prioritize the friendship or even as basic as like self care, eating, the way they need to eat or whatever, because they're so worried about everybody and everything else that they're not prioritizing their happiness and the things that make them bring them any joy. So again, feeling alone. Um, Over the course, I've like met some other people, but obviously, the older you get, most people already have like their core group of friends or their best friends or whatever it is. Um, and so when you come along or a new person comes along, it's almost like you're still on you're still an outsider to the main group, right? To the close knit group or whatever it is. It's like, okay, y'all cool, or you like might even be friends, but it's not like we locked in, right? Now it could be true for some. Just speaking on my experience, some people I know. Like I said, this might have been easier had your girl not been an introvert. Um, so yeah. So fast forward, my eyes look so low. I don't know what's going on. So yeah. So fast forward to now in my 30s, and I am really feeling it because I still have not been able to connect really with like another female to be like, oh, that's we locked in, be like besties, whatever. Because like I said, my extroverted bestie was constantly creating new relationships. So I did not feel that way. Now, in that course, my extroverted bestie bought me another friend at the time that it took me a while to move to. And then it's like I had three besties. A couple years back, that went sour. Um, well, it went sour on two occasions, but I feel, second time my fault because sometimes when something happened the first time, don't give somebody a second chance to do it again. Anyway, choice. Um, so again, through all of this, my failure in the friendship was not speaking up, not saying how I felt about really trying to keep close and creating it or feeling left to like never actually addressing how I felt. Again, none of them were doing this intentionally, right? Like everybody was just kind of, and I'm pretty sure some may have felt the same way coming from me. But I internalized everything and I just bottled everything up. And I really should have been like expressing and pushing for more time with each other, more intentional quality time. Um, yeah, that's how I feel like I feel in my relationships. And also, nobody told, again, like to traverse a friendship, that it's okay to have not only boundaries, but a standard, right? And I think I had no true standard of what I wanted my friendships to look like or what that encompassed, the stuff that I tolerate, that I didn't tolerate. Is nobody, everybody is like, it's a friend or but it's a delicacy. Same thing as in a relationship that it needs to be worked at. People are going to change, things are going to look different. Voice that, say something, make the time, all of that great stuff. However, like I said, for me personally, I didn't get that. Um, so I just sat on a lot of my feelings and turned into myself. Had a lot of depressive moments and episodes and things like that because I felt like I had no one. Even though I know these wonderful queens are there, but it was like they wasn't there, right? Because we didn't talk as often, we didn't see each other. It felt so distant that me reaching out when I even needed it most the closest thing from or person for me to reach out to felt like myself. And because now it's like they got all this stuff going on, I don't want to call them, I don't want to burden them. That idea that a friendship, a sisterhood is supposed to be where we lean on each other in our worst times and in our best times. But we're usually only talk about the good times. And if something goes wrong, we're not taught to like resolve the conflict and figure it out and come together and all of that. So I'm just here creating extras in my head. I'm creating a false narrative that they don't care. I know they care and that they love me, but that I'm going to be a burden or all of it. So everything I was putting out into the atmosphere was, I guess, for what felt like coming back to me, which is non-present friendships in sisterhood. I, with my extroverted friend, I don't think there was a time that I didn't was still yearning that friendship. But it did hit a point where I had to mourn it because we, over time, on different occasions, probably like hurt each other and never like fully addressed it or talked about it. I think even to this day, like there's stuff that occurred that I was really hurt by, but I just to this day just never mentioned. Um, I just came to terms, what I felt like came to terms with where I am or where I fit in their life. Because it's like if you can't share certain stuff with me or you don't feel comfortable talking to me, like then how are we best friends? And how are we friends when you don't trust to tell me anything, right? Or what's going on good. You might tell me like good stuff here, or if the answers you're giving me feel like a vague answer that I'm getting from like a coworker. It's just like, oh, you're really so let's dive into that, right? When you hit turbulence in the friendship. So again, that extroverted friend was making new friends, new connections. Um, and yes, she tried to like include, but always trying to mesh people together doesn't work. And the level of introvert that I am, also the level of stuff that I see in my discernment for stuff, I being around people don't be doing that sometimes because I'll see and pick up certain stuff and then I just have to like hold my tongue because I'm like, this person's not gonna last or this is not like the greatest person. But I can't go and be like, yo, yeah, that's not the person. Like, so I kept very quiet. I just felt like I just watched from the sidelines. And then when the obviously the calls became less, the presence became less, and when the conversation started looking or sounding like, yeah, I'm good, things okay, and no pizzazz, no, let me tell you what this, da, 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 or this has happened, or it wasn't. It hit a space in the friendship that it never sounded like that. So I felt like, okay, well, if you are not trusting to tell me what's going on in your life, then there's no point in me to do the same. I don't want to be the only one giving and being like, oh, girl, let me tell you what this dude did, or blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. When you're not telling me anything that's like really going on in your love life or going on with you, like whatever it may be, it's just like, if you don't want to share with me, then I'm not going to share with you because sharing is a vulnerability for me. Um, and now I don't feel vulnerable because I feel like you don't feel vulnerable, right? Is this what they really thought? I have no idea, right? But this was the narrative I had, and this was the perception that was given. But mind you, they had another best friend. So they accumulated another best friend, and I felt like that's who they were spending most of the time with, talking to, whatever. Like used to watch Connection between them, and I was like, oh, I remember when I had that with her, and I no longer have that. And it just kept perpetuating, right? So even up until this point, I, like I said, love her down bad. She's amazing. She's a wonderful person. She does great things, intelligent, beautiful, all of that. And though I no longer yearn for that type of friendship with her, because I don't think we're ever gonna get back there. And obviously not to that young level, but just even on a, I talk to you every day or every other day, more like every, um, but not even that, because again, the most of the conversations over the last couple years or few years have been very, I'll say, prior to last year, were very, like I said, distant. I didn't know what was going on, or I'm finding out things last. I'm like, we're besties, or supposed to be like, are super close. Why am I the last to find out? Like, why does like maybe your neighbor know before I do, or whatever that looks like? Why didn't I know this was going on? And um, damn, like, how far down did I go that I became the afterthought, right? Because still to this day, when something happens, realistically, she's one of the first people I still want to pick up and call and say stuff to. And this is over 25 years, maybe, of like a friendship. And that is still one of the first people I would love to call and say stuff to and just be like chitty chatty. But the reality is mm, high possibility might not answer the phone. And I would hope to get a phone call this century. Well, at least that day. But because she's been living a very active lifestyle, doing a lot of stuff, it doesn't make much room for availability for me. Um, but as of I think maybe last year around that time, we all started as three, the introvert and the extrovert. We all was trying to be more conscious of spending more time, because now we're all in the same state again. We all have been in different states for a while too, whatever. But now we're all in the same state again, and just trying to really be focused on being intentional. That's the word. Being intentional about seeing each other, spending quality time, maybe traveling, just doing things that we like to do with each other. Sometimes it can be a bigger group, somebody else, but then I like that we've hit a space where it's just like, oh no, it's just we just want it to be the three of us. Um, but yeah, even though we're in a decent space that is being worked on, um, I I like if I'm telling somebody, I'm like, oh, like I talk about my wonderful women, my wonderful sisterhood of women, because they're sisters, but I don't feel like I have a best friend. I don't feel like I have best friends really because the level or requirement of what I look for is, like I said, not necessarily every day, but we really make the effort to like chit chat and just be talking to shits and shooting the breeze and venting to each other, letting our crazies out, our cries, our happy. And I don't really have that. Like to be like we're consistently okay. You got my location. Okay, maybe like two people have because and that just happened like even hearing that from other people like oh yeah so and so got my location. I'm like wow. In my head I'm like I've known you forever. I don't even have your location. Like, I don't even know what's going on in your life. Um, so it just hits those spaces where nobody talks to you about that and how to traverse that and what that feels like and how to manage those feelings and so, whatever, doesn't matter. With all that being said, you have to look within you once you hit a certain space and figure out what you want friendship to look like for you, and are the people in your life meeting those friendship, like those levels and standards that you have friendship. And if they're not, it's okay. And if you're extrovert, then you can probably find somebody. As an introvert, we have much harder of a problem doing that, or protect maybe obtaining it. And it's like, oh, get out there. No, come find me in my house because that's where I like to be. But wait, so as I am getting older and wiser in this universe, I am working. My personal growth that I'm working on is being more intentional about communicating and getting together, being in the presence of the people that I care about, as well as voicing certain things and not being scared that me saying something is going to cause me to lose the friendship. Um, because I can honestly say that any friendship that I've really veered from and haven't spoken to them, um, or whatever, or lost, which I don't really consider a loss, because to me everything happened for a reason and it's a blessing and a lesson. So to me it's a blessing and a lesson, but it's not a loss because you weren't meant to be in my life. So bye bye, farewell, so long, right? But the ones that are still here, that we are still trying to be intentional with each other and do right by each other, I feel so lucky, and I want to continue to pour into them and foster the sisterhood. So yeah, that's a little something. I was just yammering. Like I said, chitty chat. Nobody's in here. It's fine. Um, and I look tired because I am. Yeah, TNG baby, TNG. Okay. Okay, I'll end this. Oh, I'm straight.